Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, the New Horizon, watching Earth grow larger through the main screen. After 3 months in deep space, the sight of his home planet always made him feel good. The blue and white world looked peaceful from here, but Jake knew that millions of people were working hard down there to keep humanity's growing empire running. "Captain, we're getting some strange readings," said Lieutenant Corinne Walsh from her station. "There are big ships near Jupiter, really big ships." Jake walked over to look at her screen. The radar showed 3 massive objects, each one 10 times bigger than anything humans had ever built. They were moving slowly toward Earth, and their design was like nothing he had ever seen before. "Are they ours?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer. "No, sir. The computer says they're not human ships. They're not like anything in our files." Jake felt his stomach tighten. First contact with aliens was something every space captain had trained for, but no one really expected it to happen during a routine trip home. He opened the channel to Earth's Defense Command. "This is Captain Morrison of the New Horizon. We have 3 unknown vessels approaching Earth. They're huge, and they're definitely not human." The reply came quickly from Admiral Lisa Carter, the head of Earth's Space Fleet. "We see them too, Captain. They showed up an hour ago. We're trying to talk to them, but they won't answer our calls." As Jake watched, the alien ships moved into a triangle formation around Earth's moon. They were beautiful in a scary way, made of what looked like dark blue crystal that seemed to glow from inside. Each ship was long and thin like a needle, but as wide as a city. "Captain Morrison," Admiral Carter's voice came through the radio again. "Report to Terra Prime Station immediately. We need all senior officers for this." Jake had never heard the Admiral sound so worried. Terra Prime was Earth's biggest space station, built to protect the planet from asteroids and other dangers. If the aliens wanted to talk, that's where it would happen. The New Horizon docked at Terra Prime 2 hours later. Jake had never seen the station so busy. Ships were arriving from all over the solar system, and the hallways were full of soldiers and scientists. Everyone looked nervous. Admiral Carter met Jake at the docking bay. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Jake, I'm glad you're here. The aliens finally answered our calls. They want to meet." "What do they want?" Jake asked. "We're about to find out." They walked through the station to the main meeting room. Jake saw Dr. Alex Bennett, Earth's top expert on alien life, setting up recording equipment. President Maria Rodriguez was there too, along with generals and scientists from around the world. "They're coming aboard in 10 minutes, Admiral Carter told everyone. "Remember, we don't know anything about them. Be polite, but be ready for anything." When the aliens arrived, Jake understood why everyone was so quiet. The alien ambassador was 7 feet tall and looked like a person, but everything about him was wrong. His skin was silver and seemed to shine with its own light. He had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on his face, and his hands had 6 fingers each. He wore a long robe that seemed to be made of the same crystal material as his ships. "I am Ambassador Zeth Ka of the Zephyrian Collective," the alien said in perfect English. His voice sounded like music, but cold music with no feeling in it. "I speak for the greater Galactic Empire." President Rodriguez stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador. I'm President Rodriguez. We're honored to meet you." The alien looked at her with all 4 eyes. "This is not a social visit, President Rodriguez. I am here to deliver a message." Dr. Bennett moved closer with his recording equipment. "Ambassador, we've been hoping to make contact with other intelligent life for many years. We have so much to learn from each other." "You will learn this," Zethka said, ignoring the friendly tone. "The human species has 30 of your Earth days to remove all presence from space beyond your home system. All colonies, all ships, all installations must be abandoned. Any human presence detected outside this solar system after the deadline will be considered an act of war." The room went completely silent. Jake felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. Humans had been building colonies among the stars for 50 years. There were millions of people living on dozens of worlds, mining asteroids, and exploring new systems. "Ambassador," President Rodriguez said carefully. "Surely we can discuss this. Humanity has worked hard to build our civilization among the stars. We mean no harm to anyone." "Your intentions are not important," Zethka replied. "Your solar system sits at the crossing of three major hyperspace routes. The Empire requires this location for our own expansion. Your presence here has become inconvenient." Admiral Carter stepped forward. "And if we refuse?" All four of the aliens' eyes focused on her. "Then you will be removed. The Empire has ruled this part of the galaxy for 10,000 years. We have destroyed civilizations far more advanced than yours. This is not a negotiation, this is a warning." Dr. Bennett tried again. "Ambassador, perhaps we could share the space routes. Humans are good at working together with others." "Impossible," Zethka said. "The Empire does not share. You have 30 days. What about our people?" Jake found himself asking. "There are families out there, children, old people. We need more time to bring them all home." 30 days, the alien repeated. "After that, any human found beyond your moon will be eliminated." To show he meant it, Zethka raised one six-fingered hand. Suddenly, all the lights in the room went out. Emergency power kicked in a second later, but every computer screen was blank. The alien had somehow shut down Terra Prime's entire defense system without even touching anything. "Your weapons cannot harm us," Zethka said. "Your ships cannot escape us. Your technology is like toys to us. Remember this when you consider your response." The alien turned and walked out of the room. A few minutes later, the three crystal ships disappeared from Earth's orbit as quickly as they had arrived. President Rodriguez was the first to speak. "Get me every ship captain, every colony governor, and every military commander in human space. We have 30 days to decide the future of our species." Jake looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, millions of humans were living their lives, not knowing that their whole world was about to change. In 30 days, humanity would either be confined to one small solar system forever, or they would be fighting a war against an enemy they couldn't possibly beat. But as Jake thought about all the human colonies, all the families who had made new worlds their homes, he knew what the answer would be. Humans had never been good at giving up without a fight. Even when the fight was hopeless, the war for humanity's future was about to begin. 3 days after the alien ultimatum, the emergency meeting of Earth's World Council was the most important gathering in human history. Leaders from every nation sat around a huge table in Geneva, while screens showed colony governors and military commanders from across human space. President Rodriguez stood at the head of the table, looking tired. She had not slept much since the aliens left. "We have 27 days to make a decision that will affect every human alive," she said. "I want to hear from everyone." Senator Paul Williams from the European Union spoke first. He was a thin man with kind eyes who had spent his life trying to prevent wars. "We have to be realistic," he said. "The aliens showed us they can shut down our best defenses without even trying. Fighting them would be suicide." "So you want us to just give up?" asked General Ryan Brooks. He was a big man with scars on his face from the colonial wars. "We should abandon everything we've built? All the people who died to give us the stars? I want us to live," Williams replied. "Sometimes the brave thing is to know when you cannot win." On the main screen, Governor Tony Martinez from Mars looked angry. "Easy words from someone sitting safely on Earth," he said. "My people have been on Mars for 3 generations. This is our home now. We're not leaving." Dr. Helen Foster, Earth's top scientist, had been quiet during the arguing. Now she raised her hand. "Before we make any decisions, we need to understand what we're dealing with. I've been studying the recordings from the meeting with the alien ambassador." She pressed a button, and the room screen showed the moment when the alien had shut down Terra Prime systems. "Look at this carefully," she said. "The alien didn't use any device. He just raised his hand and somehow sent an energy pulse that turned off every computer on the station." "What does that mean?" asked President Rodriguez. "It means their technology works on principles we don't understand," Dr. Foster replied. The energy readings make no sense. It's like they can break the rules of physics. Captain Jake Morrison, who had been invited to the meeting, spoke up. I've been thinking about what the alien said. He called it an empire that's ruled for 10,000 years. How many species do you think they've conquered? Probably hundreds, said Dr. Bennett, the alien expert. Maybe thousands. They've had a long time to perfect their methods. Then why give us a warning? Jake asked. Why not just destroy us right away? The room went quiet. Everyone looked at Jake, waiting for him to explain. Think about it, Jake continued. If you're that powerful, why bother talking? Why give us 30 days? Maybe there's something about us that worries them. General Brooks nodded slowly. The boy might be right. In all my years of fighting, I've learned that enemies only negotiate when they're not sure they can win easily. Or when they're being merciful, Senator Williams added. These aliens don't seem like the merciful type, said Governor Martinez from Mars. They were ready to kill millions of people just to get better space routes. Dr. Foster had been working on her computer during the discussion. I've been analyzing the energy signature from the aliens' attack on our systems, she said. I think I found something interesting. She put new data on the screens. The alien technology seems to work by predicting exactly how our systems will respond, then sending the perfect counter-signal. It's like they can calculate the future. That's impossible, said Dr. Bennett. Maybe not, Dr. Foster replied. But if I'm right, then their strength might also be their weakness. What if we do something they can't predict? President Rodriguez leaned forward. What do you mean? Their technology seems to be based on perfect logic and mathematical prediction. But humans aren't always logical. We do crazy things, stupid things, things that don't make sense. What if that's what worries them? While the leaders argued in Geneva, Captain Morrison was given a new mission. He would command the evacuation of the outer colonies, bringing people home before the deadline. It was a job that should have taken months, but they only had weeks. His first stop was New Geneva, humanity's first successful terraforming project. The colony was beautiful, with green fields and blue rivers under an artificial sky. Families had lived here for 30 years, building homes and raising children on a world they had made livable. Morrison met with colony director Lisa Park, a woman who had spent her whole adult life making New Geneva work. Captain, she said, my people don't want to leave. This is their home. I understand, Morrison replied. But we have to be practical. The aliens won't care about our feelings. And what about the people who died to build this place? Park asked. My husband was killed in the atmospheric processor accident 10 years ago. He died so our children could breathe free air on a new world. Now you want me to abandon everything he died for? Morrison had heard the same story on every colony. People had invested their lives in the stars. They had children who had never seen Earth, elders who were too old to start over, and memories of loved ones buried in alien soil. But he had also seen the recordings of the alien ambassador. There was no emotion in those 4 eyes, no mercy in that musical voice. The Zephyrians would keep their promise to eliminate any humans they found. I know this is hard, Morrison told Park. But we need to think about the living. Help me save the people who are still here. Park was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. How long do we have? 3 weeks to get everyone out. Can you do it? We'll have to. Back on Earth, Dr. Foster was working day and night in her laboratory. She had assembled a team of the best scientists from around the world, and they were trying to understand alien technology with only a few seconds of recorded data. The energy patterns are unlike anything we've seen, reported Dr. Kim Walsh, a quantum physicist. It's like they can manipulate reality itself. But there have to be limits, Dr. Foster insisted. No technology is perfect. There has to be a weakness. Lieutenant Karen Walsh, who had been assigned to help the scientists, looked up from her computer. What if the weakness isn't in their technology? What if it's in how they think? Explain, Dr. Foster said. Well, the alien ambassador spoke perfect English, right? That means they studied us before making contact. They know how we think, how we act. But what if they only know how logical humans act? What if they've never seen humans do something completely crazy? Dr. Foster stopped working and looked at the young officer. That's actually a very good point. Their technology seems to work by predicting our responses. But what if we respond in ways they can't predict? As the deadline approached, President Rodriguez faced the hardest decision of her life. The pacifist coalition wanted complete withdrawal from space. The Colonial Defense Alliance wanted to fight. The scientists wanted more time to study the aliens, but time was running out. In 20 days, the Zephyrians would return to check on human compliance. And President Rodriguez had a feeling that whatever decision she made, it would change the course of human history forever. She looked out her window at the night sky, where millions of humans were packing their lives into cargo ships, leaving behind the worlds they had made their homes. Some of them would never forgive her for what she was about to decide, but she was beginning to think that maybe, just maybe, there was a third option that no one had considered yet. On the 30th day, the Zephyrian ships returned to Earth's solar system. This time, there were not 3 ships, but 300. They appeared suddenly, their crystal hulls glowing with cold blue light, arranged in perfect geometric patterns. Around every human world, President Rodriguez had made her decision. Humanity would withdraw from most of their colonies, but they would keep essential bases on Mars and the asteroid mining stations. It was a compromise that satisfied no one, but she hoped it would be enough to avoid war. The alien response was immediate and terrible. Commander Sam Peters was defending the Jupiter mining platforms when the attack began. His small fleet of 20 ships faced 50 alien vessels, each one larger than his entire command. He had been a soldier for 30 years, but he had never seen anything like this. "All ships, prepare for battle," he ordered into his radio. "Remember, we're fighting for our families back home." The human ships opened fire first. Plasma cannons and missile launchers sent streams of energy and explosives toward the alien fleet. For a moment, Peters thought they might have a chance. The space around the alien ships lit up with explosions, then the smoke cleared and the alien ships were completely undamaged. "Sir," called his weapons officer, "our missiles aren't getting through their shields. The plasma bolts are just disappearing." Peters watched in horror as the alien ships began to glow brighter. Thin beams of blue light shot out from their hulls, striking the human ships with perfect accuracy. Where the beams touched, metal simply ceased to exist. Entire sections of ships vanished as if they had never been built. "All ships, evasive action," Peters ordered, but it was too late. The alien beams moved faster than human ships could dodge. One by one, his vessels were cut apart by the impossible weapons. The battle lasted only 10 minutes. When it was over, Peters found himself alone in an escape pod, watching the debris of his fleet drift through space. The aliens had not even bothered to chase the survivors. The same scene played out across the solar system. At Mars, Governor Martinez watched his orbital defenses disappear under alien fire. The asteroid mining stations were destroyed so completely that nothing remained but cosmic dust. Every human installation beyond Earth's moon was eliminated with surgical precision. But during the slaughter, Lieutenant Karen Walsh aboard the destroyer Defiant noticed something important. She had been studying the alien ships through her targeting computer when she saw a pattern in their movements. "Captain," she called to her commanding officer, "the alien ships are moving in perfect formation." "They're too perfect. What do you mean?" Captain Rogers asked while trying to keep his ship alive. "Look at the spacing between their ships," Walsh said, pointing to her screen. "It's exactly the same distance every time. They're not adapting to our attacks, they're following a program." As she watched, one of the human ships broke formation and began flying in a crazy pattern, spinning and diving randomly. The alien ships targeting it seemed to hesitate for just a moment before firing. "Captain, I think their targeting system has trouble with unpredictable movement," Walsh said. "Then let's be unpredictable," Rogers replied. He grabbed the ship's controls and began flying like a madman, rolling and spinning in ways that made no tactical sense. The alien beams still found them, but it took longer. Instead of instant death, the Defiant survived for 3 more minutes. It was not much, but it was something. When the battle ended, Walsh was one of the few survivors. Her escape pod was picked up by a rescue ship, and she immediately reported her discovery to Earth Command. Dr. Foster was waiting for the battle reports when they arrived. She had been working non-stop to find a weakness in alien technology, and Walsh's observation was exactly what she needed. The aliens are using predictive targeting, she explained to Admiral Carter. Their computers calculate where our ships will be and fire at that location. But when our ships move randomly, the calculations become harder. But we still lost, Admiral Carter pointed out. Every ship, every station, every colony beyond the moon is gone. Yes, but we learned something important, Dr. Foster replied. Their technology is based on perfect prediction. When we act unpredictably, they have problems. The news from the battle reached President Rodriguez as she was meeting with the surviving colony leaders. The human cost was enormous. Thousands of soldiers were dead, and millions of colonists were now refugees with nowhere to go. We fought bravely, she told the assembled leaders. But we cannot win a direct war against these aliens. So we surrender? Asked Governor Martinez, who had escaped from Mars in the last evacuation ship. No, Rodriguez replied. We adapt. She turned to Dr. Foster. How long do you need to develop weapons that can use this unpredictability? Give me 6 months, Foster replied. Maybe less. You have 3, Rodriguez said. Because I don't think the aliens are done with us. She was right. Ambassador Zethka had watched the battle from his command ship, and he was not satisfied with the results. The humans had been defeated easily, but their behavior during the fight was troubling. The human ships fought until they were destroyed, he reported to his superiors in the Galactic Empire. This is not normal behavior for an inferior species. Explain, came the reply from the Empire's capital. Most species surrender when they realize they cannot win, Zethka said. Humans continued fighting even when victory was impossible. Some of their ships began moving in patterns that served no logical purpose. Are you saying they are dangerous? I am saying they are unpredictable. Our battle computers had difficulty targeting ships that moved randomly. If they developed this tactic further, they could become problematic. Then eliminate them completely. That may be necessary, Zethka agreed, but I recommend we observe them first. If they are developing new tactics, we should understand them before we act. On Earth, the surviving humans were not sitting idle. Captain Morrison had been promoted to admiral and put in charge of the new resistance movement. His job was to prepare for the next alien attack, which everyone knew was coming. We can't fight them in open space, he told his officers, but we can make them work for their victory. The plan was simple but dangerous. Instead of building large warships that the aliens could easily destroy, humans would build thousands of small ships. Each one would be equipped with weapons designed to work randomly, flying in patterns that made no sense, attacking in ways that no logical species would consider. We're going to fight crazy, Morrison explained to his pilots. We're going to do things that make no sense, attack in ways that serve no purpose, and die in ways that teach them nothing. It was not a plan that any military academy would approve. But then no military academy had ever faced an enemy that could predict the future. As the weeks passed, reports arrived from across human space. The aliens were not leaving. Instead, they were building observation posts, watching human activity, studying human behavior. They were learning, but humans were learning too. Dr. Foster's teams were developing new weapons, new tactics, new ways to be unpredictable. And in the refugee camps on Earth, millions of former colonists were volunteering to join the resistance. The war was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of his new ship, a vessel designed to be as chaotic and unpredictable as possible. Its weapons fired randomly, its engines worked in ways that defied physics, and its crew was trained to make decisions that no logical species would understand. Are you ready for this? Asked Lieutenant Walsh, who had been promoted to his tactical. Officer Morrison looked out at the stars where alien ships waited like patient predators. No, he said, but we're going to do it anyway. It was the most human answer possible. 6 months after the Great Defeat, Earth looked like a planet under siege. Alien observation posts floated in orbit, watching everything humans did. The blue crystal ships patrolled the solar system, making sure no human vessel tried to leave. To the rest of the galaxy, humanity appeared to be a broken species, trapped in their home system forever, but appearances can lie deep beneath the surface of Luna. Engineer Lisa Park was building something the aliens had never seen before. Her workshop was hidden in an old mining tunnel, powered by stolen energy cells and equipped with salvaged parts from destroyed human ships. "Hand me that power coupling," she said to her assistant, a young technician named Bob Chun. They were working on Dr. Foster's latest invention, something she called a chaos bomb. "What exactly does this thing do?" Bob asked, passing her the device. "It creates random electromagnetic pulses," Park explained. "Dr. Foster thinks it will confuse alien targeting systems." "And if she's wrong, then we die?" But we were going to die anyway. Above them, the surface of Luna looked peaceful. The aliens had destroyed the human moon bases months ago, but they had not bothered to check the old mining tunnels. It was a mistake that would cost them. Captain Morrison. Now, Admiral Morrison was planning the Resistance's first real attack. His target was a small alien observation post near Venus. It was defended by only 2 crystal ships, but those 2 ships could destroy anything humans had ever built. "Remember," he told his pilots, "we're not trying to win. We're trying to learn. Fly crazy, shoot randomly, and if you're going to die, make sure you teach us something useful first." His attack force consisted of 12 modified civilian ships. Cargo haulers, passenger transports, even an old space tug had been turned into weapons of war. They carried chaos bombs, random firing weapons, and crews trained to think like madmen. The attack began at dawn, Earth time. Morrison's ships came at the alien post from 6 different directions, flying in patterns that hurt to watch. One ship spun like a top while firing its weapons backward. Another flew in a figure-8 pattern while its pilot sang old Earth songs. Over the radio, the alien ships responded exactly as Dr. Foster had predicted. Their perfect targeting system struggled with the chaotic human movement. Beams that should have destroyed the human ships instantly instead missed by small margins. "It's working," Morrison said into his radio. "Keep being crazy." The battle lasted 15 minutes instead of the usual 2. When it ended, 11 of Morrison's ships were destroyed, but they had accomplished something amazing. The alien observation post was damaged, its crystalline hull cracked and sparking. More importantly, they had proven that humans could hurt the aliens. News of the victory spread through the underground resistance like wildfire. In hidden bases across the solar system, human fighters began planning new attacks. They had found the enemy's weakness, and they intended to use it. Dr. Foster was working 18 hours a day now, developing new weapons and tactics. Her laboratory on Earth had become the heart of the human war effort, where the brightest minds tried to turn chaos into a science. "The alien technology is based on quantum field manipulation," she explained to Admiral Morrison during one of their secret meetings. "They can predict the future by calculating all possible outcomes, but human behavior creates quantum interference." "In simple words, Doctor," Morrison said, "we mess up their math," Foster replied with a tired smile. "Every time we do something unexpected, we create possibilities their computers can't handle. So the crazier we act, the better?" "Exactly, but it has to be the right kind of crazy. Random patterns, unexpected decisions, actions that serve no logical purpose." The Resistance began developing new tactics based on this principle. Ships would attack empty space for no reason. Weapons would fire at their own allies. Pilots would sing lullabies while fighting for their lives. To any logical observer, human military tactics had become insane. But that was exactly the point. Lieutenant Walsh, now promoted to commander, led a raid on an alien supply depot near Mars. Her ships were painted with bright colors and silly pictures. Her pilots wore joke uniforms and gave their ships names like Flying Banana and Cosmic Chicken. The aliens defending the depot were completely confused. Their targeting computers kept trying to predict what the humans would do next, but there was no pattern to follow. A ship painted like a rainbow might suddenly ram an alien vessel, or a pilot wearing a clown nose might sacrifice his ship to save a cargo transport. The raid succeeded in destroying half the alien supplies before the human ships were eliminated. But more importantly, it had taken the aliens 20 minutes to kill 12 human ships. A year ago, the same battle would have lasted 30 seconds. Ambassador Zethka was becoming frustrated with the human problem. Each attack was small and ultimately unsuccessful, but they were learning and adapting. Worse, their tactics were spreading to other conquered species. The humans are teaching rebellion to our other subjects, he reported to the Empire. 3 species have begun copying human tactics. This is unacceptable, came the reply. Eliminate the humans immediately. It may not be that simple, Zethka replied. Our battle analysis computers are having difficulty processing human behavior patterns. They act in ways that contradict all known principles of survival and logic. They are insects, crush them. But Zethka was beginning to understand that humans were not insects. They were something far more dangerous. They were a species that could choose to be illogical, and that choice was making them stronger instead of weaker on Earth. Millions of former colonists had joined the resistance. They worked in secret factories building chaos bombs and random weapons. They trained in abandoned buildings, learning to think and fight like madmen. They knew that most of them would die, but they also knew that their deaths would teach the survivors how to fight better. Dr. Foster made her most important discovery while studying recordings of the latest battles. She noticed that alien ships sometimes seemed to freeze for a few seconds when faced with particularly chaotic human behavior. I think I know what's happening, she told President Rodriguez during a secret meeting. The alien ships are connected to some kind of central computer network. When our chaos overwhelms their local systems, they have to wait for instructions from somewhere else. What does that mean? It means they're not really thinking for themselves. They're following orders from a central intelligence. If we could disrupt that connection, we could level the playing field, Rodriguez finished. Maybe even tip it in our favor. The president looked out her window at the alien ships hovering over Earth's major cities. For months, she had watched her people die in hopeless battles, fighting an enemy they could not defeat. But now, for the first time since the aliens arrived, she began to hope. What do you need? She asked. Time, resources, and every human in the solar system, Foster replied. The first 2 I can give you. The third might be harder. Actually, Foster said with a strange smile, I think you'll find that humans are very good at working together when they're angry enough. As winter came to Earth, the resistance was growing stronger. Hidden factories produced thousands of chaos bombs. Secret training camps taught civilians how to fight like lunatics. And in laboratories around the world, scientists worked on Dr. Foster's most ambitious project yet. They were going to turn the entire human race into a weapon. Admiral Morrison stood in his new command center, a converted subway station beneath New York City. Around him, screens showed the status of resistance cells across the solar system. The numbers were growing every day. Are we ready for the next phase? Asked Commander Walsh. Morrison looked at the tactical displays, showing alien positions throughout human space. The enemy was strong, numerous, and technologically superior. But they had one fatal flaw. They thought logically. Almost, Morrison replied. Dr. Foster needs another month to complete her project. Then we'll show these aliens what happens when you corner a species that's too stupid to know when it's beaten. Walsh smiled. I can't wait to see their faces when they realize what we're planning. Assuming they have faces, Morrison replied. Outside the hidden command center, alien ships patrolled the night sky, confident in their victory. They had conquered humanity, as they had conquered hundreds of other species. The war was over, but they had made one crucial mistake. They had assumed that humans, like all logical species, would eventually accept defeat. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 1 year after the first alien attack, Dr. Foster stood before the largest gathering of humans in history. Every major city on Earth had screens showing her face, and people in underground shelters across the solar system were listening to her. Words. "Today we fight back," she said simply. "Not with guns or ships, but with our minds." President Rodriguez sat in her bunker beneath Washington, watching the broadcast. Around her, government leaders from every nation waited nervously. They all knew that the next few hours would decide whether humanity lived free or died as slaves. "Dr. Foster," Rodriguez said into her microphone, "are you certain this will work?" "No," Foster replied honestly. "But it's the only chance we have." The plan was insane, even by human standards. Foster had discovered that the alien ships were all connected to a single, quantum network that linked every Zephyrian across the galaxy. This network allowed them to share thoughts instantly and coordinate perfectly, but it also made them vulnerable. 8 billion human minds, all focused on chaotic thoughts at the same moment, could create a quantum disruption powerful enough to overload the alien network. The theory was brilliant. Whether it would work was another question entirely. "All stations report ready," Admiral Morrison said from his command ship. He was leading the military part of the plan, a massive attack on the alien command vessel. Orbiting Earth, his job was to keep the aliens busy while Dr. Foster activated her consciousness weapon. Morrison's fleet was the strangest collection of ships ever assembled. Cargo haulers painted like circus tents flew alongside military vessels covered in children's drawings. Every ship had been modified to be as unpredictable as possible, with weapons that fired randomly and engines that worked backwards. Ambassador Zethka watched the approaching human fleet with 4 eyes that showed no emotion. He had been fighting humans for a year now, and he was tired of their annoying tactics. Today he would end their rebellion once and for all. "Destroy them quickly," he ordered his fleet. "I want this finished before they can perform another of their chaotic displays." But as the alien ships moved to attack, something strange began happening on Earth. In cities and towns around the world, humans were sitting quietly with their eyes closed, thinking the most random thoughts they could imagine. Children pictured purple elephants dancing with green dinosaurs. Artists imagined paintings that changed color every second. Musicians heard songs that had no rhythm or melody. Mathematicians calculated equations where 2 + 2 equaled banana. The effect was immediate. On his command ship, Zethka felt a strange sensation he had never experienced before. For the first time in his life, he could not hear the thoughts of his fellow Zephyrians. The quantum network that connected his entire species was filling with noise. "What is happening?" he asked his officers, but they were experiencing the same confusion. Without the network, each Zephyrian had to think for himself, something they had not done for thousands of years. In space, Morrison's attack fleet reached the alien ships just as the chaos weapon activated. The battle was unlike anything ever seen before. Human ships flew in impossible patterns, while their crews sang nonsense songs and fired weapons at empty space. Commander Walsh, piloting a modified garbage scow painted bright pink, rammed her ship directly into an alien cruiser while shouting, "A recipe for chocolate cake?" The collision destroyed both vessels, but it also created exactly the kind of random event that Dr. Foster's weapon needed. "It's working," Foster announced from her laboratory. "The alien network is overloading. Keep thinking crazy thoughts." Around the world, humans obeyed with enthusiasm. A businessman in Tokyo imagined his briefcase turning into a butterfly and flying away. A farmer in Iowa pictured his crops growing downward into the sky. A teacher in London thought about lessons where the students taught the textbooks. The quantum disruption grew stronger with each passing minute. On the alien command ship, Zethka found himself thinking thoughts that belonged to him alone. He felt something he had never experienced before: fear. "Sir," one of his officers reported, "our targeting systems are failing. The quantum interference is too strong? Then fire manually," Zethka ordered. "We don't know how," the officer replied. "We have always relied on the network for calculations." For the first time in 10,000 years, the Zephyrian Empire was fighting without their greatest. advantage. They had to make individual decisions, calculate their own solutions, and face the terrible burden of thinking for themselves. Admiral Morrison saw the alien confusion and pressed his attack. "All ships, maximum chaos," he ordered. "Show them what human insanity really looks like." The human fleet responded with a display of madness that would have impressed a lunatic asylum. Ships flew upside down while firing their engines instead of their weapons. Pilots flew in circles while singing a para and throwing birthday confetti out the airlocks. General Brooks, who had been thought dead for months, suddenly appeared in a stolen alien fighter that he had somehow painted to look like a giant banana. He flew directly at Zethka's command ship while broadcasting cooking instructions for soup. "This is impossible," Zethka said to himself, a phrase he had never spoken before because the network had always provided answers. "How can chaos defeat?" "Order?" Engineer Park, watching from her hidden base on Luna, laughed as she saw the alien ships beginning to retreat. "Because," she said to her assistant Bob Chun, "sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to break all the rules." On Earth, Dr. Foster was monitoring the quantum disruption with instruments that showed readings she had never seen before. The collective human consciousness had created a field of pure chaos that was spreading throughout the solar system. "Dr. Foster," President Rodriguez called, "how long can we maintain this?" "As long as we need to," Foster replied. "Humans are very good at being crazy." The battle in space was turning into a rout. Alien ships, unable to coordinate properly, began firing at each other by mistake. Their perfect formations broke apart as individual commanders made different decisions at the same time. Z attached, experiencing individual thought for the first time in his life, suddenly understood something that terrified him. The humans were not just chaotic by accident. They chose to be unpredictable. They could think logically when they wanted to, but they could also choose to be completely irrational. "Retreat," he ordered his fleet. "All ships retreat to the edge of the solar system." "Sir?" his tactical officer asked, confused by an order that came from individual thought rather than network consensus. "We cannot defeat an enemy that chooses chaos over survival," Zethka explained. "They are not trying to win, they are trying to be impossible." As the alien fleet withdrew, humans around the world began to cheer. But Dr. Foster was not finished. The quantum disruption had given her an idea for one final message, using the same network that had connected the Zephyrian Empire. She broadcast a simple message to every alien in the galaxy. Earth is home to a species that cannot be predicted, controlled, or conquered. They choose chaos over logic, sacrifice over survival, and freedom over safety. Approach at your own risk. The message reached the Empire's capital world within hours. The response came back just as quickly. "Earth is to be quarantined indefinitely," the Emperor declared. "No ship will approach the human system. No contact will be made with the chaos species. They are too dangerous to the order of the galaxy." President Rodriguez received the alien message in her bunker, where she had been coordinating the global chaos effort. She read it twice before she understood what it meant. "We won," she announced to her staff. "Not by defeating them, but by making them afraid of us." Admiral Morrison, floating in the wreckage of his command ship but very much alive, heard the news over his emergency radio. "Well," he said to Commander Walsh, who was in a nearby escape pod, "that's the most human victory in history. We won by being too crazy to fight. Think they'll come back?" Walsh asked. "Maybe in a few thousand years," Morrison replied. "But by then, we'll have had time to get even crazier." 6 months later, Earth was rebuilding. The alien observation. Posts were gone and humans were free to travel the stars again. But something had changed. The galaxy now knew that Earth was home to a species that could choose madness over logic and somehow make it work. Dr. Foster stood in her laboratory, looking at reports from the first new human colony ships. They carried chaos bombs and random weapons, just in case they met other logical species who needed to learn about the power of human unpredictability. "You know," she said to her assistant, "I think we just became the most feared species in the galaxy. Is that good or bad? The assistant asked. Foster smiled. With humans, it's probably both. Outside her window, the stars waited. Somewhere among them, other species were learning a new lesson. When you corner a species that's too stubborn to accept defeat and too crazy to fight logically, the best strategy is to leave them alone. Humanity had found their place in the galaxy. They were the chaos in the machine, the unpredictable element that kept the universe interesting, and they were proud of it.